Hi, everybody. In this video, we are going to be looking at Unit 2.2.1, multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. So to start, it just says multiplying two or more fractions. When you multiply a fraction by a fraction, you are actually finding a fraction of a fraction. So that's what we're going to fill in this first blank. So, oops, I gotta turn my pen tool back on. So fraction of a fraction. So for example, it gives you here, it says, suppose you have 3/4 of a candy bar and you want to find out what is half of 3/4. And so you were literally saying, what is half of 3/4? And so when you do that, like that question of what is, and we talked about this on a previous video, what is 1/2 of 3/4? Again, take those words and put them into symbolic notation or math symbols. And the what is our variable. The is an equal sign. 1/2 is still 1/2. Of is a multiplication sign, and 3/4 just drops down. And so you are multiplying them. And so, well, what is half of 3/4? And if you multiply straight across, 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 2 is 8. So it's 3/8. 3/8 of that portion of the candy bar is half of it. So in multiplying fractions together, I actually just showed it to you in this example, but you are going to multiply straight across. So I hope you noticed too, did I have to find a common denominator in order to multiply? No. So that's another common error I see, is that students will try to get a common denominator when they multiply. And as long as you do it correctly, you'll still get the same answer at the end, but it's an extra step. And when we put in extra steps in our process, sometimes we end up making more mistakes. So again, no common denominator is needed. So if that's something that you might think you might do, I would write that in. No common denominator. Here, I just kind of messed that up with my handwriting. Denominator is needed. All right, so we just multiply straight across. So we're going to multiply the numerators together, and then we're going to multiply the denominators. Denominators together. Finally, we will simplify if we need to at the end, or reduce. All right, so here's our rule we're going to look at. So the rule we are going to look at is, well, what if we have A over B times C over D? Well, we end up getting A times C over B times D, and then we get AC over BD. And then that would be your answer. Sometimes we reduce at the end too. So like for example, if we had another B in here, because it was a common factor in there, you can actually reduce, and you can reduce on the front end or you can reduce at the end. We didn't have that in this scenario, so I'm not going to show you much more other than just kind of giving you that quick example, but I'll show you some more examples with some actual numbers here in a second where we can reduce. All right, so example number 1, if we have 2 over 13 and we're taking that times 4/5. Again, I always like to look, like I look from numerator to denominator and numerator to denominator, and I see if I can reduce it all, and I can't. And then I look here from numerator to denominator and numerator to denominator to see if I can reduce, and I can't. So if I cannot reduce on the front end of that problem, then I will not, I repeat, I will not be able to reduce at the end of this either. So I'm just going to go straight across, and 2 times 4 is going to give me 8. And then 13 times 5, that gives me 15. Carry the 1, it's going to give me 65. So 8 over 65. And then number 2, we've got 4/15 times 5/12. 4/15 times 5/12. So again, I'm looking from numerator to denominator, nothing, numerator to denominator. Yeah, I can reduce 4/12. Like, think about that. What would 4/12 actually reduce to? It would reduce to 1/3. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to divide this by 4, which gives me 1. And I'm going to divide that by 4, which gives me 3. So then I look, okay, what about between numerator to denominator? No. What about numerator to denominator? Yes. Because think about this too. That's like 5/15, right? Which is going to give me, guess what? Another 1/3. So this is going to become 1. That's going to become 3. Now look at that. It's kind of a mess. So I've got essentially what I've got now is 1/3 times 1/3. And now you multiply straight across and you're going to get 1/9. So I have had students in the past that are like, I hate that. Like, I don't like all the crossing off and it's confusing and it's messy. So if you are one of those people, you absolutely do not have to do it my way. You could just multiply straight across, in which case, we had this situation. And we ended up getting, where do I want to do here? So we would do 5 times 4, which is 20. And then you can do 15 times 12. I'm going to do that in my calculator to save a little bit of time here. And that's going to give me 180. And so then you can say, well, I see those end in a 0. So if I divide them by 10, that's going to be 2/18. I'm going to divide that by 2, and that's going to give me 1/9. So you can do it that way too. Either way, your choice. Just make sure you show your work. Okay, next one, we're going to do 14/15 times 3/42. Okay, so again, I like to simplify on the front end. So I see that I've got, you could simplify here. You could also simplify here. So I'm going to simplify there. I'm going to do 1, and then that's going to be a 5. And then let's look. Looks like I could do here a 7 because I'm going to divide it by 2. And I'm going to divide this one by 2. And that's going to give me 21. Oh, and even better, it looks like I can simplify again with that 7 and 21. I'm going to rewrite it so it's a little bit neater. So right now I have 7/5 times 1/21. And I'm going to reduce again. That's a 1. That's a 3. Because 7 divided by 7 is 1, 21 divided by 7 is 3, and then that's going to reduce all the way down to 1/15, which is perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. Let's try one more. So we're going to do 18/25 times 15/20. Nope, not 25. 15/18. 15/18. This one I would absolutely reduce on the front end because it makes it so much easier. Look, we got an 18 and an 18. Those will totally cancel out. And then essentially we've got 15/25, and I would have reduced here too, where I would have taken out a 5, and that would have been a 3, and that would have been a 5, and then you multiply straight across and you get 3/5. That's exactly what's going to happen here. If you went ahead and wrote it like this, we're going to get 3/5, and that's our answer. So I'm going to note down, because we did not do all the examples on my page. Okay. Perfect. So now we're going to look at the next page. When working with fractions, whole numbers, and mixed numbers, we are first going to convert the whole numbers and mixed numbers to improper fractions. That's so important. So you might want to highlight that. So you want to convert them into improper fractions first, and then keep going. And then follow the same steps that we followed before. All right, so here's our rule. If we have a whole number, which is just going to be A, and then we're going to multiply it by B over C. So what we first want to do is we want to convert this into an improper fraction. Well, how do we do that? We just put it over 1. So we're going to put it over 1 and I multiply straight across. And so this one would be A times B all over 1 times C, which gives us AB over C. And then our next one is if we have a mixed number of A, and then it's and B over C, and then we're going to multiply it by D over E. First, we want to convert our mixed number into an improper fraction, doing what we did on day 1, where it's going to be A times C plus B, because remember this was multiplication, this was addition. So A times C plus B, and it goes all over what? All over C, to get us back to what we had here, times D over E. And then we multiply. So we multiply straight across. Now this is a little bit weird. You got to make sure you put that in parentheses. And then we would have AC plus B times D all over CE. And that would be your rule that we're going to have for that. Well, that's a long rule to remember. If I was you, I'd just remember the process. So let's look at our first one. Our first example is that we're going to have a whole number, and it's going to be 12, and it's going to be multiplied by 3/8. And then again, essentially remember, like, this is us asking, what is 3/8 of 12? So think about that. That's almost half. And so always trying to think about, like, what should my answer be? So my answer should come close to 1/2, right? So, or not 1/2. 1/2, like, what is close? What is 1/2 of 12? It should come close to 6, because 3/8 is close to 1/2. So let's see what we come up with. So we're going to put this over 1. I'm going to do some reducing. 8 divided by 4 is going to give me 2. 12 divided by 4 is going to give me 3. I'm going to multiply straight across, and I'm going to get 9/2. 9/2 as a mixed number is going to be 4 1/2. Is that kind of close to 6? Yeah, that's kind of close to 6. Does that seem reasonable? Is that like 3/8 of 12? Yes, that seems reasonable. There's your answer. So number 2, let's do 12/18 times 24. So pause the video. Pause the video. Try this one on your own. See how you do on this one. So my first step is to put 24 over 1. And actually, I'm just going to back up and I'm going to go ahead and reduce while I've got it written right there. So I see that I've got 12/18. So one thing I might like to do is go ahead and take out a 6. So if I divide that by 6 and that by 6, I'm going to get 2/3 times 24 over 1. And then I'm going to reduce again. I see I've got, that could become a 1. This could become an 8. And then 2 times 8 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. And that's going to give me 16. Because 16 over 1 is just 16. How did you do on that one? Hoping you did okay. If not, look at it again. Go watch the video again. Put me in slow motion and watch the video and try it out again. If you still can't figure it out, ask me about it. Come see me during office hours. Come see me, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. All right, next one. We are going to do 3 2/3 times 6/7. All right, so let's convert first. Times, add. 3 times 3 plus 2 all over 3 times 6/7. So 9, 10, 11 over 3 times 6/7. I see one place we can reduce, which is going to be here. And then 11 times 2 is 22. 1 times 7 is 7. Converting that into a mixed number is going to be or 3 1/7. Because again, that's going back to that day one of class where you are thinking through 22 divided by 7 is 7 is going to go into 22 3 times. With 1 left over, we put that 1 back over 7. Let's try this one. We've got 2 1/5 times 8 1/3. 2 1/5 times 8 1/3. So here, convert, pause the video, and see how you do on this one. How'd you do? Did you do okay? I'm hoping you did okay. I think I'm gonna write up one more. We did that one. I'm gonna do one more. So we're gonna have 2 5/8 times 4 2/7. So this one, I'm gonna have you guys do on your own. So show your work. What you should be getting when you're finished with it is 45/4 or 11 1/4. So try that one. The next one I want you to do, and the last one that I would like for you to do, is 7 1/2 times 2/3. So I want you to try that one too. When you're done with that one, you should end up getting 5/1, which is just going to give you 5. So this one I want you to do on your own as well. Make sure you show your work. Don't just write the answer because you won't get credit for that. So make sure you show your work. All right, then on the back. Here, what we are looking at is a couple word problems. And so I'm going to do this first one with you, and then I'm going to have you do 2 and 3 on your own as well. And I'll give you the answers so that way you can check. All right, so recipe for homemade pie crust, and it's going to yield 4 pie crusts. So we are starting with 7 cups of crushed graham crackers, 1 1/4 cups melted butter, yum, 1 1/3 cup sugar, and 2/3 tablespoon, if you're not a baker, the capital T means tablespoon. Little t would be, or lowercase t means teaspoon. And so it'll be 2/3 tablespoon cinnamon. What would the ingredients be if you only wanted to make 2 pie crusts? Show work for each ingredient. So again, this yields 4 pie crusts, and the pie crust must be tiny, like little tart ones, little like personalized size ones, because 7 cups of graham crackers with the other ingredients, it's not going to go too far. But anyway, we're gonna take it in half, right? If we're cutting it in half, essentially we're saying what is half of each ingredient. That's essentially the question we're asking. So let's figure it out. So graham crackers, we're going to do 7 times 1/2. And so I'm going to put that 7/1. And so I'm going to get 7/2, which is 3 1/2 cups. And the graham cracker label's already over here, so I'm not going to put that back on there. And then the butter, yum, is 1 1/4. I just wrote 1/2. 1 1/4 times 1/2. So again, convert first. And so we're going to have 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5/4 times 1/2 multiply straight across is going to give you 5/8 of a cup of butter. And then our next one is going to be sugar. And we've got 1 1/3 cup times 1/2. And so again, convert. So 3 times 1 plus 1 is going to give us 4/3 times 1/2. So it's going to give us 4/6, which is 2/3. You could also reduce right here if you wanted. That could be 1, and that would be a 2, and then you get the same thing of 2/3 and then cups. Forgot to box my answers. And then the last one, the 2/3 tablespoon of cinnamon. So 2/3 times 1/2 is going to be, again, if you want, you could reduce. 2 and 2 is going to be 1. If you multiplied straight across, you'd get 2/6, which would reduce to 1/3 of a tablespoon. So not too much cinnamon there. So then the other thing that I would like for you to do, I'm going to have you guys work on 2 and 3 on your own. So I want you guys to set it up, see what you're coming up with. The answer to this one should be $900. And then the answers to these, let's see, sleep should be 8 hours. Oh, that would be decadent. To get 8 hours of sleep every night, that would be amazing. Work, school, and other, they actually happen to all be the same. So work, school, and other should be coming up to 4 hours each. So 4, 4, and 4 of your 24-hour day. And then eating and studying, I'm sorry, but you're spending the same amount of time that you eat as that you're also studying. That doesn't seem right. That either tells me like we're spending too much of our day eating or we're not spending enough time studying. But we'll see. Let's see here. It says it should come up to 2 hours each. I don't know, maybe that's fine because we're in school for 4 hours. I don't know. I feel like we'd be doing homework for more than 2 hours every day, but I don't know. Not my schedule. Okay, so there are your answers for those problems. So I want you to do those in your notebook and just make sure you are showing your work. And I think that's it. So let me check. Yep, that's the end of this topic. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.